Everybody, let's chat with Nobody Else's Auto. It is 7 o'clock Central Time, Sunday evening, time for Sunday Night Live Chat. Frank's already on with us. Looks like we just connected on Facebook as well. So, as always, I am live on two formats. I'm watching two screens, so I'm watching comments on both of them. As you see me glance back and forth, that's what I'm trying to do, trying to keep up with everybody's comments and questions as we move through the night. So, since we are live, we'll give everybody a few more seconds to get their notifications, get on with us. It looks like we're just starting to get a couple of people on Facebook. So we'll see how things work tonight and see how the feed goes. YouTube's been pretty good. Facebook's been kind of up and down. So Iron Daisies is on with us on YouTube already. So we've got a few people jumping on with us, getting ready to go. Got a few more coming on Facebook. There we go. Big Job's on. Joe's on Facebook with us. So looks like we're working in theory. We'll see how that all works. But as always, Jim's on with us. Likes the Texaco sign. Yeah, that's a little rougher of one, but that's a pretty tough sign to find. So I wish I had a little bit better one, but that's early and it's rare. It's a flange. It's pretty tough to come by. I actually bought that one from Robbie Wolf when we stopped by his shop one time. So Lee's on, Kevin's here, David W., Kim made it, Alan NC, BW's Garage, going toe-to-toe with the Super Bowl tonight. Yeah, I didn't know if anybody would be on tonight, to be honest with you. Scott just jumped on Facebook. So Kevin L's here. James made it. Yep, it's crazy. There's 100. It's the 100th episode. That's just bananas. So Brian in Canada's here. But and as always, guys, before I forget, trolls, when we get trolls, you guys are great about running them off. I appreciate that. I'm not going to recognize them. That's what they want. You guys jump all over them and get rid of them. That's worked great. I appreciate that. Keep an eye on your autocorrect. If I can't make your comments out due to autocorrect changing a bunch of your words, I have to skip it and keep moving. I've tried to decipher them, and it ends up holding up the whole chat. So please keep an eye on that. And if you are on the Nobody's Show page on Facebook, I cannot see those comments. So if you're on the Nobody Show page on Facebook, you either need to be on the Nobody Show page on YouTube or the Nobody Else's Auto page on Facebook. The video is shared to the Nobody Show page on Facebook from the Nobody Else's Auto page. So if you just want to hang out and watch, great. If you want to comment, participate in trivia, the auction, anything like that, please be on one of those other pages because I will not see your comments. Anyway, Big Job got his license plates. That's awesome. Rusty Nails is here. Let's see. Jim Petty, a Super Bowl's touring a salvage yard. So anyway, lots of congratulations on the 100th episode, which is bonkers to me. I can't hardly believe that we're 100 in. We've been doing this right at 2 years. However, in fact, it's been almost exactly 2 years. But we've missed a few nights. I know there was one night that there were some technical difficulties and things wouldn't connect. I know there's another night in spring we had a big storm, knocked out all the power, had a bunch of storm damage, had to deal with that night. So, but for the most, that's why we're a little bit behind as far as being, but we're dead on 2 years to hit 100 of them. James is on with us. Ain't been here in quite a while, but glad you made it back tonight. Norma made it. So lots of, yeah, Big Job. Hooray, episode 100. Didn't want to miss it. So, Scott on Facebook, rather hang out with all you guys than watch the halftime show. Well, that's great too. But that's where we're at. So, Chopper 1 made it tonight. Glad you're here. But anyway, before we get into talking about the 100th episode, I want to keep you guys updated. I did go to the state capitol and actually testified at the House committee hearing on Monday, which was a very interesting experience. Very pleased that I was able to do it, that had the opportunity to speak with the Transportation Commission about some of these titling issues. And they were very receptive. It raised a lot of people's eyebrows that there is an issue with this in Kansas. Are we going to get the bill passed exactly as we have it written? I don't know. However, we did bring some attention to the issue, and which was great for me personally, having that experience and going there to testify and actually standing before the Transportation Committee, being able to voice my opinion It was pretty amazing and pretty cool that I was able to do that. So keeping my fingers crossed that we get something done. You never know, but it went well. It was a positive experience. And for me personally, it was a great experience to be able to do that. So let's see. Lots of comments. Hector on Facebook. Congratulations on 100th. He's got the game on as well. Let's see. What am I missing? BW's Garage. Online memorabilia auction in Allentown, end of the month. Jason made it tonight. Terry's here. Frank, still looking for a pre-74 cylinder. Depends on what you were needing on that. Steve made it tonight. So lots of regular ones and lots of regular ones that you're kind of sometimes here, not all the time. But so some of you guys are making it back. That's great as well. So anyway, that's how the hearing went, and I was excited about it. William's on too. But obviously, the big topic of the night is doing this 100 times. And you guys are still here. You know, a lot of you, it's grown slowly but surely. We've got a great crowd on every night. You know, every night we do it, we've got a great crowd. Are they going to vote? I don't know where we go from here. I think the bill has to be, you know, they has to be discussed. And then we've got to get it to the House floor next. This was just the Transportation Committee. The committee has to decide if that bill can go through, or does it need to be tweaked or things like that. But what I did accomplish, I do feel, is that brought attention to the situation enough that they're going to look at something, whether it's exactly as we've got the bill written or not. But it did raise some attention that there's an issue here that needs to be addressed in Kansas. So we'll see what happens. But like I said, it was a great experience for me personally. But yeah, when I started this thing 2 years ago, which would have been February 9th of 2020. Grant's on Straight Six Fan. Be sure to check him out. Got some exciting things happening on his channel on YouTube as well. Talked to him a little bit today, so hopefully there's going to be some cool things happening on Grant's channel. Be sure to check out Straight Six Fan on YouTube as well. Rick just got on with us on Facebook. Glad you're here. Iron Daisies have to go post a title bond tomorrow on a 65 Honda CB160. So yeah, and every state's different. You know, all I know, the only one I'm familiar with is Kansas, so that's what I'm working with. Jeep pre-74 cylinders. So yeah, don't have any Jeeps there. Don from Nashville made it. But February 9th of 2020, literally right at 2 years ago, is when I first did this. So and Grant has been around since before that, I think, actually. Yeah, Grant's been around hanging out longer than that because Grant kind of helped. You know, Mike Gallons taught me a ton of this stuff, but Grant walked me through a lot of stuff as well. So I always appreciate his help. But this deal kind of started. In fact, when I started this deal, I went back and looked. I didn't even have enough YouTube followers to be live on YouTube at that time. I don't know what the parameters are today, but I think you had to have over 1,000 subscribers to even be able to, before YouTube would even let you go live. So I think I was just Facebook because I don't have YouTube lives for the first couple of months. By March or so, I was on YouTube as well as Facebook. So literally this was jumping on Facebook and talking. It started out as a way, as kind of a lesson, is kind of what I was trying to do with it, to maybe teach people how to find parts for their project cars. Number one, you didn't win yet, but you're here, so you made it. So Chopper One, I remember you didn't have enough subs for YouTube, so it's better. So yeah, and that's exactly what we're talking about. But okay, so Grant says you could go live, but not on the mobile version at under 1,000 subs. So Ben, hello, I'd like to be like a kid in a candy store on your lot. So Buzz from Roadkill Customs is on with us. Glad you made it. Randy's on. So good crowd jumping on tonight, even though the Super Bowl is on. But Sunday Night Live Chat, that's exactly what it started as. Kevin on YouTube says he started out at the beginning on Facebook too, which is super cool that some of you guys have been around that long. So that's literally what it started as. And my notes for February 9th, and this was literally when I first started this thing, was just literally just jotting some notes down. And this is what I talked about on these nights, just jotting those quick notes down. And that's what we talked about. You know, Chris made it. You're not too late. At least we're just getting started. So a lot of this stuff, I remember, there'd be maybe 20 people on Facebook, maybe half dozen on YouTube. I mean, there wasn't much going on when we first got rolling on this deal. But February 9th, finding parts for your project car. February 16th, using eBay. February 23rd, we didn't do one that February 23rd. I was in Kansas City at World of Wheels that weekend. So, let's see. Nate started on Facebook with the Nobody's Playbook. Tim, found your channel by accident on Facebook 2 years ago on a Facebook comment. So, James found me when I was started on Craigslist. So, yeah, and which is cool because we're coming from all different areas to get here to where we're at right now, which is the crazy part. But March 1st talked about using Facebook to find parts. March 8th, we talked about using Craigslist to find parts. March 15th, we talked about print advertising because print advertising is still out there. I still get Hemmings every month. But that's where this thing started. And it started because of really the biggest problem people have with finding parts for their collector cars is they don't know how to look for them. In all honesty, Lance made it. Glad you're with us on Facebook. See, Grant, I knew about you first when I saw those cool rat rod project listed on Craigslist. So that's why I started this, because Rusty Nell says he doesn't know how he got here. That doesn't matter. At least you're here hanging out with us. But that's kind of where it started. That was the whole premise. It was just basically on how to look for parts for your collector car. That's just why I was going to sit down and start chatting with people about it. And that went on, and then we started getting a few people on, and then we started, and something else to kind of throw this in. Jason said he just lucked into us. Williams, where to look for parts. But then, some guys started getting on, and we started talking more. So by April, we started talking about some stuff you guys wanted to talk about. We talked about car movies and TV shows. We talked about car toys. This was April 12th. And that's where we started talking about Toy Tuesday. Came from when we started talking about some toys and memorabilia. That's how Toy Tuesday grew out of this, from just talking about some of this stuff. Then people started asking about me. So by the end of April, we were talking about, what I did. We were talking about pricing on cars and parts and things like that. We talked about using PayPal. May 17th was a very important episode when it comes to finding parts or looking at project vehicles. Read the ads. I immediately know if somebody didn't read the Craigslist ad. If somebody calls us, I saw your ad on Craigslist, and they start asking me a whole bunch of questions that are specifically listed in the Craigslist ad, I immediately know that they don't pay attention to anything because they didn't read the ad. Martin Designs made it. Craigslist is where he found us. So May 24th was the computers were down. May 31st, another important one. We talked about shipping. Shipping is a huge issue on parts. June 7th, we talked about taking pictures for ads, or looking at pictures on ads, or going through all the pictures on ads. And something else I wanted to bring up. If you guys hear something that, as we're skimming through some of this stuff, and there's no way we're going to do it all tonight, we'll probably work on this for the next few weeks, just kind of skim different ideas. If you hear something you like, say, hey, let's hit that again. I'll note it in my notes section here, and we'll try to work some of that stuff back in as we go, because a lot of this stuff, may be of interest again, because a lot of you guys weren't here 2 years ago. So as we're skimming through this stuff, reminiscing, talking about what was happening back then, and you hear something that's interesting, say, let's do that again. If we hit a topic that several of you guys want to touch on again, absolutely, we will rework it in, no problem. That took us up to about June. Now in June, by then, we had, about 4 months of this, and people were starting to get on and starting to hang out. Jason's thirsty, apparently. Yeah, that came out of this deal too, so, which isn't good for some of you. Some of you got to work on Monday. Did they ever miss that Texaco sign? No, I think they usually got it. So dispatch says 1,000 more to come. That's holy cow, that's a long time down the road. But it might happen. You never know. But so now they got a lot of pretty good whammies in that one, but still a cool piece, and it's a pretty tough one to find. So, Nate, pricing stuff in today's market, things are nuts price-wise. That's completely true. But by June, there again, a few of you guys kept coming back. We started talking. Things started. So by middle of June, I actually had to start making some notes. We actually started putting some notes together. I actually just kind of basically started putting bullet points down. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's how we worked through it, back then. In the middle of June 2 years ago, there was, we talked about Rocky Mountain Race Week. We talked about, the rules of certain websites, using eBay, using PayPal, what you can and can't do. We were already doing a little bit of trivia then. And we talked about new inventory, just like we do. Some of this is still pretty basic of what we're doing today, which a little more hopefully a little more refined. Jason, I can only afford the beat up stuff. Yeah, and the stupid part about it is what I paid for that sign is ridiculous for a beat up one, but it's so hard to find that I paid up to get it. And of course, I bought it from Robbie Wolf, so he obviously knew what it was worth. If I was going to own it, I was going to pay retail. So we did. But we stopped by a shop one time when we were up in Iowa and went by Robbie's, and that was a piece he had there that was pretty cool. And actually, I know when we bought that. We were on Power Tour. We were on Hot Rod Power Tour, so we had one of the Trans Ams. So I couldn't haul anything big back with me. So we picked that up because it was small. It was easy to work with, easy to fit in the car. So let's see. Grant, Straight Six fan, happy 2-year anniversary of Sunday Night Chats. James, at least it's helping my orphan Corvair prizes. I have seen some Corvair stuff do crazy things, James. There's no doubt about that. So, Hudson Badge. Yeah, Jay says, yeah, even how the rough stuff's high. But that's, kind of where we started as we were flipping through this in June of 2020. There's, even towards the end of June, still had Rocky Mountain Race Week stuff. We did some Pioneer Village stuff. I think that's when we went to Pioneer Village with our good friend Phil Skinner, who's on here with us some. Let's see. Big job. I found you on that lonely night, high on transmission fluid. He typed in nobody's on YouTube and was saved and found out that he wasn't alone in his love for junk cars. So, let's see, Daniel, one question. If you had a bunch of money, what size would your garage be? I've got 6 right now that are 20,000 square feet is what I've got in shop space as of right now. So if I won the lottery, I'm sure I could find more places to put more shops. Kevin says, yeah, it looks like you use it for target practice as well. Bill Williams says he's got to bail off, be back in a little bit. William Alderman, nothing like rusty nuts and busted knuckles. That's true. Iron Daisies has a Corvair title and VIN tag on a shelf in the garage. All that stuff is cool memorabilia. Speaking of which, I was going to ask you guys this as well. I've got a whole big binder of old titles. They're not good for anything, but really, really old titles. I don't know if anybody's be auctioning some of those. This is stuff like teens from weird cars we haven't heard of. So, which make great display pieces. If you guys are interested in some of that, we might start working a few of those into the auction. So obviously not legal documents at this point, but great collector pieces. Nate, speaking of pickers, I see a lot of city councils getting letters. They'll be in your area soon. I doubt it. And that's true that American Pickers have sent out a deal to a lot of areas in Kansas that they plan on coming here in April. But the chances of them coming here, probably not. Most of my stuff is not a big, huge, lifelong collection buried in sheds where they can really dig. I was going to text Robbie and tell him that if they needed to stop and shoot some stills, sometimes they'll look at places like me for that, where if you watch American Pickers, where they have a stopping point in the middle of an episode where they are just talking about something they just found or telling part of the story. I was going to text Robbie and let him know that, those guys, they're more than welcome for that. I don't see them coming here to do an episode. I doubt that would happen. But you never know. I mean, if they want to swing by, they're always more than welcome. But I don't see it happening. James, I did manage to score 4 late model Corvair windshields. That if you've got Corvairs, and that's something else that's happening. Glass is getting tough. If you've got a chance to score glass for your collector cars reasonably, then you definitely want to grab that if you can. Al and NC, did you catch any of Sick Week? Bits and pieces. I caught a lot of it on the RMRWers page, the Rocky Mountain Race Week stuff, because a lot of those guys were there running. So I caught bits and pieces of it through there. But that was about it, just bits and pieces. I knew a lot of people that were there, but obviously they're too busy, so I didn't want to bother any of them. I did hear from Chad Reynolds with Bank Shift. He texted me last week, but didn't talk to a lot of the guys who were there, but did follow it a little bit. So, Jason, I have 2 acres you can put Billy's on. Big Job says that's a cool title collection. Kevin says I found you through Kim and BW. And that's another great thing a lot of you guys are super about is bringing your friends over, telling your friends about us. The guys on Facebook throwing shares out there to invite their friends over. That's another important part of it, and that's another thing I hugely appreciate with your guys' support. Jim, they would have to say the whole month. Big Job, wagon glass, always worth keeping, absolutely. But, it's weird as we flip through things and go through what happened, and a lot of these early episodes, like we talked about, 20, 30 minutes, Lance is down with the titles. So, and they're cool. Like I said, they are absolutely not legal documents, but this is stuff from the teens and the 20s. You put them in a little cheap frame, hang them on the wall, and they're awesome. They're great man cave pieces, great conversation pieces. And so we may work some of those in as well. Kim, we found out through number 1, there again, just like I talked about, everybody's support is what's helped turn this into what it is. So, back in June and July of 2020, we did the Pioneer Village videos. That's when we did go with our buddy Phil. And those are still on YouTube. If you guys have never heard of Pioneer Village, you absolutely have to go back and check those videos out. Pioneer Village, one of the most awesome places I have ever been. I've been going there since I was a little kid. 300 cars, all of them exactly as they were found. All of them that were parked. They were bought in the 50s, 60s, 70s. Backed them in the shed, and they haven't been touched since. If it had a Fulton visor on it, then it has a Fulton visor on it now. Most of them are not restored. They're a completely original condition. Don, Power Tour. We did Power Tour. I think it was 17. I got the sticker on the window, but I can't quite see it over there. 2017, started in Kansas City, went Kansas City, Des Moines, and then on over to where Robbie lives. We bought that sign on the other side of Iowa, Davenport. So that's the only Power Tour that I've been on. Jason, titles would be a good display of mold license plates. We'll start working some of those in. They're cool pieces. We'll start auctioning some of those off as well. Kevin, watching the halftime show, they've got a nice 62 Impala convertible on display. Huh, that's weird. Iron Days, is that in Murdo? Nope. Pioneer Village is in Nebraska, Minden, Nebraska. Murdo is our good friends Dave and Vivian at the Pioneer Auto Show. Pioneer Auto Show is in Murdo. Dave Giesel and his daughter Vivian, great people, know them well as well. And that's a great collection too. I've got a lot of videos from there on the channel, so be sure to go back and check those out. But Pioneer Village is a must stop. You've got to do that one. Rusty Nails, years ago I got in trouble for having titles and no cars to match them, and that is a real touchy situation. But this stuff here, it's well over 100 years old. It's filled out. There's literally nothing you can do with them. They're just strictly a display piece. So that's why if it was a title for a 98 Chevy pickup, no, I wouldn't even consider selling it to anybody, or even up into the 50s or 60s. But this stuff is so early and so old. Plus, I know for a fact the cars were destroyed because they came from where I got all of these badges where the guy that collected these badges, he saved a bunch of the titles of the cars that came in with titles when he got these badges and license plates. So I know the cars were destroyed in the 30s and 40s. So they're really not good for anything other than, display pieces, but they're super cool display pieces. Let's see. James, a 62 and a couple of 63s, if that was on the halftime show. Dan says it was Snoop's dog 62. So, well, at least they got something cool and mixed in there. But, as we flip through this stuff, even another thing right here in July of 2020, finished in Galatia, the last car video. If a lot of you guys are curious as to how I got where I'm at, go back to the videos from end of 19, first part of 20, where we were moving cars out of my dad's place. July 12th, that week, we did the last car video. And it was kind of weird because that car, when we moved that car, was one of the very first parts cars my dad bought in about 1980. And I've still got it. We moved it, we actually, when we moved the cars from my dad's place, we worked down to this car. Now, it was on the back row in the middle because it was one of the first ones there. But we left that one for the end, and we worked our way back to it. And there's several videos as we were getting ready to move cars from Dad's place, but that was the last one. So you'll definitely want to check that out. There's also a video from his place where, right where I started. So Jason says he remembers them. Iron Day's been to Murdo many times. James remembers when we were moving them. Mary on Facebook definitely wasn't Snoop Dogg, but thank goodness they had cool cars to watch on the halftime show. So, so there again, that's what's cool. But yeah, Pioneer Village and Pioneer Auto Show are two different places, but definitely both well worth checking out. Oh wow, back in July of 20, after we went to the Mecum Indy, the Adspa collection, that was super cool. Man, just so much stuff. Summer Nationals at Kansas International Dragway, where Palmer had Studezilla out there. So like I said, we can go on and on forever. We'll keep working through some of this stuff. If you guys are cool with it, we might keep working through some of this over the coming weeks. So you just tell me what you want to do. It's kind of cool for me. It's a trip. It's already a trip down memory lane for me, just seeing some of this stuff of what was going on at that point. But pretty cool. So we probably better get rolling or we're not going to get everything done. Jose is on with us. Glad you made it tonight. Anxiously awaiting a Turnpike Cruiser. So hopefully we're keeping our fingers crossed that we're going to have the title for Jose's Mercury this week. And that thing is going to be headed to him, and super excited to see what he does with it. So glad you made it tonight, Jose. But we'll keep moving on tonight. We'll get into some badges and stuff. And like I said, if you guys don't want to do any more of this, you tell me. If not, we'll keep working on it. Big job. A buddy of mine just picked up a rust-free 59 T-Bird. He's one who wants to use as a kid. Do you have any 59 parts? I've got 159, and there is actually a 60 in the building when I bought the new yard that none of you guys have seen before. Somebody took the whole car apart. It's in primer. It's a really good car. It's just sitting there in pieces in primer. Hasn't seen the light of day in 20 or 30 years. So I've got a little bit, but not a ton. But we'll get off of this for now. Like I said, I'm curious as to what you guys think. If you say no more, we won't do any more. If not, we'll kind of keep just bouncing through a few of these as we go through the next few episodes, unless you guys tell me to stop. I'm already having fun with it. I want your guys' opinion as to what you think we should or shouldn't do with some of this stuff. So, but I think it's great. And we've talked about old swap meets, auctions, just like when the Adspa collections at Mecum. I've got some super cool stuff. Jose waiting. He's got looking for a shipper, so waiting for dispatch to come up with a shipper to pick up the Mercury. But that's we'll keep working some of this stuff in. If you guys want to stop, you tell me to stop, and we'll work on different stuff. But it's pretty cool going through some of this stuff. There again, looking back, it's just what happened a couple years ago. You don't think about it. And here's another perfect point. And this was a big, big thing. And I was really I made a big point out of this one. we'll catch this real quick before we wrap up the flashback session of tonight's episode. Back in August of 2020, we talked about why something might not be for sale, because there was some people that, you post there, and Facebook is god awful about this. People will see a car sitting, so they'll take a picture of it and post it on Facebook. So yeah, the guy won't sell it. He's being a jerk. And then people just bash the guy for not wanting to sell the car. But, you don't know why they don't want to sell that car. Money isn't everything. Trust me. That maybe that was their dad's car. Maybe it was their older brother's car, and those people aren't with them anymore. Maybe it's a dream for them. Whether they get to it or not, it still may be their dream. To me, that was a super important topic because of all the bashing that you do see on a lot of that stuff. So we'll keep working through some of that. I'm going to get off of that for now, and we'll get rolling. Jim, like the cord times were fun. Yeah, we got the stuff we did at Auburn Cord Duesenberg Company was awesome. If you guys have not checked those videos out, you've got to check those out. That was a great time. Doug Pray's become a very good friend. He's on here with us sometimes. Doug and Jill do jump on with us sometimes on Sunday night when they've got time. So that was an awesome experience. Great people, and I can't wait to go see him again and bring you guys some more videos from there. Phil on Facebook, looking for a rear clip for a 77 Regal two-door. I've got one Century, but the rear clip's not super clean on that car. Both door window glass for a 65 fastback. There, I don't know for sure where you're going with that on the 65 fastback. So you can give me a call tomorrow. We can get into some more details on some of that. Nate, I think it's great. Gives new people a chance to find out what episode some of the things we're talking about, and that's another good idea. So I like that as well. Cammie from upstate New York's here. Big Job says hit the love button. So we'll keep working through some of it. I've had fun with it. I hope you guys did as well. But a lot of cool stuff. And like I said, Dan's all over the cords too. Let me know if you hear us something that we hit on a topic as we're flipping through things over the next few weeks, throw it in the comments. I'll note it. If you're talking to me, if you call me about parts, let me know what you think. This is, like I said, this is about you guys more so than me. So whatever you guys dig, we'll check it out. We'll talk about it some more. Kevin, time flies. We're having fun. Yep, that's true. It does. Badges. And by the way, we got a great badge auction coming up tonight. You won't want to miss the badge auction. It is a great piece. It's got a few chips in it, but it's super cool. But as far as badges for tonight that we're going to check out, I'm going to throw one other thing in real quick that isn't technically a badge. I just put this on eBay, like right before we got on, literally put it on eBay. I was like, this thing is too cool. I'm going to show it to you guys. Well, I know a lot of you guys are familiar with the tissue dispensers they had in cars back in the 50s, 60s, up into the 70s, actually. But, I know a lot of you guys remember the flip down tissue dispensers. You put the tissue box in it, mount it up under the dash, and you pull tissue out of it, and you flip it down, put a new box in, flip it up. James, there's a guy not too far from me that has a 65 or so vet sunk in his yard. I tried to buy it in 81, and he still won't sell it, and it has a story, and I can understand why he won't sell it. And that's what a lot of this stuff is. It just having that car sitting there means so much to some people that happens. And that's why I get tired of, when you see them on Facebook and you got trolls bashing people on Facebook for it, so that's why it irritates me. But this piece we're going to check out, a lot of us have seen those tissue dispensers. I've never seen one of these before. I hope they bring good money, Big Job, because I put this on for a stupid price. I put it on for an insanely ridiculous price because it's so cool. One, I don't care if I sell it, but I put it on for a stupid, ridiculous price. But this is a new old stock. I've actually got the box for this. Kenny made it from Wisconsin. Glad you're here. So I've got the box for this. The box is falling apart, so I didn't bring it in tonight. But ever seen one for a cat? I have never seen a Caterpillar tissue dispenser. So, same style as cars of that era. Same, it was the same company that made them for the cars. But if we open this thing up, it's tight because it's new. It's never been used. It's a little tricky to get it to pop up. But when we pop this thing open, it still has the hardware packet inside of it. Kevin thinks it's cool too. So Iron Days, my 6998 has a tissue dispenser in the back of the front seat for the rear passengers. That's cool. This is the AutoServe company, is who made this, which is who made a lot of the ones for the OE manufacturers back in the day. But yeah, it still does have the hardware packet in it, brand new. So, like I said, not really a badge, but I just threw it on eBay and I was like, this thing is too cool to not share. I've had it for several years. I bought it at a swap meet about 10 years ago, probably. And I've had it laying on the shelf because it's so cool. I was like, oh, it ain't doing me any good. I don't have any caterpillars to put it in. So I threw it on eBay at a ridiculously insane price. And if somebody buys, fine. If not, I'll keep it. I don't care. So, and there's a lot of people. Mary says it's cool. Jason, big job. James, Buzz with the Roadkill. Yeah, everybody thinks, yeah. I also said, I don't really care if I sell it because it's awesome. So anyway, threw that in just for the heck of it. Let's get to some badges and check some of those out. Starting off with a really cool, different badge from 1929. This badge is Rusty Nails. If anyone ever finds one, I'm wanting a hop rod. Not sure what that is. So, a 1929 Erskine. The Studebaker Erskine. This is a pretty cool piece. This one's kind of chipped up a little bit, but it still has pretty decent color. Just basically says Erskine with a clover leaf above it and below it. Blue background, white stripes, white lettering, and a black circle around it. 2 inches in diameter on the Erskine badge. This was a press-on badge on the grill shell. You know, just had something that just flattened that out and stuck into the grill shell on this one. So that's kind of a neat piece. The deal with the Erskine, and I looked this up on my new favorite website, American Auto Emblems. The Erskine, yes, this is a 1929, Jason. The Erskine was a low-price car with the slogan, "The Little Aristocrat." It was set up by Studebaker and named after the president of the Studebaker Corporation, Albert Russell Erskine. Kenny says the first one he's seen. The Erskine had a 40-horsepower 6-cylinder engine and was introduced at the Grand Palace in Paris in October of 1926, and then at Olympia in London and next in New York. The Erskine sold well in Europe, but did not meet expectations in America, partly due to its small size and at a price significantly higher than its main competitors. By May of 1930, the Erskine name was dropped and the car was absorbed into the Studebaker line. Erskine also produced a half-ton van in 28 and 29. So these were essentially made, introduced in 26. So say they went into production in 27, from 27 to 30, this one being a 29. So 3 or 4 years worth of production on the Erskine. Let's see. Hermanskin badge is getting into corn whiskey. Roger from Australia is on with us. Glad you made it. So Jason's on with you, is already in support of the corn whiskey. So this is a neat little badge of one of those seldom heard of, obviously Studebaker, well-known manufacturer, but a seldom heard of model, which there again, there's a lot of manufacturers, back in the teens and 20s, there was like 2,500 car manufacturers in the United States. But a lot of the manufacturers that we know and are familiar with had a lot of these off brands that they tried, they sampled. Some of them didn't work, some of them did. That's what the Erskine came in at. Just kind of a simple, basic round badge with, the only decoration being the clover leaf above and below the name, but a definitely unique, different, cool badge. So the next badge we're going to check out, obviously, as usual, we jump up a few years to another one that everybody's going to know, a pretty commonly known one, a grill badge for a 1966 Cutlass 442. Now, the biggest debate about the 442 badge was what did it stand for. 442s were introduced in 64, obviously as an answer to the GTO. No, Erskine was not the Notre Dame football coach, number one. If you look it up, they say it's 4-barrel, 4-speed dual exhaust. I've heard of it 400 engine, 4-barrel, dual exhaust. I've heard of it 400 4-speed, Positrack rear end for 2 rear tires spinning. It's always some sort of variation of that. Jason says Tommy Likey. But you know, these are great badges as well. Like I said, I've always collected badges since I was a little kid. So that's why I've got such a wide variety, and that's why we kind of try to mix them up a little bit. So number 1 says we need that badge for the 72 Royale Rocket. And this had studs on it, bolted to the grill, just pretty much your basic badge that most of us are familiar with, you know, from more modern times. So, yeah, and that's another thing. Rusty says for 2-door. Yeah, like I said, it depends on who you ask, depending on what you're going to get for an answer on what the 442 actually stood for on the Cutlass 442. Obviously introduced in 64, used all the way up through the A bodies in 72. They actually did make the Colonnade Coupes from 73 to 77 in a 442. They made G body 442s. They even made a Cutlass Calais 442 in the early 90s. Obviously with a little different meaning when you're talking about a 4-cylinder front-wheel drive Calais, but they did still use the moniker all the way up in the 90s on some of the small Calais. So Tim's on Facebook. He's got a Gremlin badge. Got some of those as well. So BW's Garage, we ain't to the auction yet, BW. You're getting ahead of us. So that's what we've got. Kind of some cool pieces. Jason, did anyone see his badge display on the Facebook page? I didn't see it. I'll have to go back and see if I can find it. And see if I can find it on there, Jason. So that's what we've got tonight for the badge section, the Erskine and the 442. Now we've got a great badge coming up for the auction right after with the magazine. So we'll get into the magazine and stay tuned because we're going to auction off an awesome badge tonight for somebody's collection. We've also got this other badge laying around here. I don't know why this thing keeps laying around. It keeps lingering on us. But tonight for the magazine, we're going to go back to the year 1962. Iron Daisies badges. We don't need no stinking badges. Somebody's going to need a badge. Yeah, tonight. Number 1, yep, the Cutlass Calais Quad 442. That's exactly right. Number 1. Mary's got a Chevelle badge. I know Mary has some badges in her collection as well too. So, anyway, Kenny says thanks. Been waiting for that one. Glad you enjoyed it. Rusty Nails, did you see the Hudson parts for sale? Apparently not. Not sure where we're at on that, Rusty Nails. Apparently I missed that. Chris, sometimes the Junior make like the Pontiac was introduced by Oakland, and so and that exactly right, Chris. That's exactly kind of where I was going, and that's probably the most textbook example that I didn't think of. You know, that Pontiac was actually introduced as the Junior series to the Oakland, and then ended up, you know, shutting Oakland down because they were only sold together for about 5 years. I've actually got a double-sided porcelain sign that is Pontiac in Oakland. That's a super cool piece. So, Shopcat, woo, I need some whiskey tonight to take the edge off this bad knee. We can help you out with that. If you got some whiskey there, we'll help encourage you to drink it. So, Rusty Nail says, send it to me. Okay, that I don't remember. So, that if you send it to me, either I didn't get it or I don't remember seeing it. And texting, a lot of times on text, if you had something you'd sent to me on a text, that stuff scrolls so bad. I miss a lot of stuff on texts. Number 1, my mom's church friend had one of those Calais 442s, fashioned the V6 Camaros in the day. But tonight's magazine, the April 1962 issue of Car Life. Speaking of Corvairs, how about a turbocharged Monza right on the front cover for our Corvair fans? Iron Daisies has a Fayette hubcap. I don't know if it's a Fayette or a Lafayette hubcap in the garage. And that's something else I'll start digging out. The little small aluminum hubcaps actually that went on the hub. I got boxes full of those. We need to start working some of those in as well with the badges and stuff. So, number 1, I'm winning money hand over fist on this Super Bowl. Lots of prop bets are paying off. Well, that's good. Maybe this Super Bowl's working out pretty well for you. So let's get into this issue of Car Life. The cover's already about to fall off of this one. I'm going to try to be careful, but I'm sure we're going to knock it off by the end of tonight. Kevin wants to buy the Hudson badge. If I sold the Hudson badge, you guys wouldn't have it. So, oh shoot, I missed. Scott made a comment. 64 had a 330 motor. On the 442 is where I'm sure where Scott's going with that. I missed that for a second, Scott. So, but that's right. They did use that little 330 Olds in those for earlier Cutlasses. So, But we'll get into this issue, starting off with the cover car, the Corvair Monza Spider. What I kind of found somewhat interesting with this article, let's see, James, the only early van I have is a 63 panel van. The Corvair Monza Spider has a good article on the cover car, but I think these were just strictly turbocharged. Jason doesn't even know who's playing. But and maybe our Corvair fans on here can clarify this. I was positive these were strictly a turbo setup on these early Monza Spiders. However, in this magazine now, and there again, turbo technology was pretty new at the time as far as cars. Mary wants the badge too, so yeah. But you guys couldn't all drink if we didn't have the Hudson badge. But the way they had this article written was turbo supercharging gives performance to match a sporting appearance. And I found that statement kind of interesting with these being just strictly turbocharged, that, maybe they were kind of considering if it's stuffing air into the motor, it's supercharging. And maybe that's how they did it. Obviously, the aircraft back in World War II did have turbo superchargers that were crank and exhaust driven. But I don't think this was crank driven. I think these were strictly a turbo. But James, yes, all Spiders were turbo 4-speed. Okay, so it was strictly turbo. So they weren't supercharged, but they actually listed it as being supercharged. So appreciate that, James. Thanks for clarifying that. Big job. His buddy had a Spider in high school. Somebody just threw something up on Facebook, and then they must have retracted it with a similar comment about it being turbocharged as well. So missed that one before it went away on me. So I don't know if you retracted it or Facebook wiped it out or something. Who knows? But a good article on the Corvair Spider, pretty in depth. Number one, Kim and I are looking for Corvair Lakewood wagons. Haven't seen one of those in a while. But a pretty good article on the Corvair Spider with a lot of details in it. Obviously, like I said, we don't have time to get into all the specifics. Phil just sold his, but it was not a convertible. So neat little cars, and they are starting to get a little recognition finally. The next article, we're going to check out a car that I absolutely feel does not get the recognition it deserves. Rusty Nails had one as well. That's what's so great about this. We flip to a page in a magazine, and it brings back a flood of memories for a lot of you guys that are on here hanging out with us. So I thought these were a very good-looking car in their day. This one's a four-door, but it's a four-door hardtop, which is still a pretty clean roof line. Old school made it. Glad you're here. The 1962 Oldsmobile 98. I thought the 62 full-size Olds was a very good-looking car. Of course, a lot of stuff wasn't 62. You look at Pontiac, Buick, and Chevy. They all had a great-looking 62 full-size line. Iron Daisies Yenko did a few Corvairs as well. That is correct. They absolutely did. The Stingers, I believe. They were Corvair Stingers that Yenko did. Chris, did you see a Corvair with a factory AC and the condenser was mounted on top of the engine? That's interesting. Have you ever seen the Corvair Corsa? It has a Monza-esque style sloped rear window. Yes, I believe so. I think there's one in the new yard, actually. Rusty Nails, his was an automatic. So, but I always like these 62 Oldsmobiles. Like I said, of course, everything was good in 62 pretty much. Once again, a pretty in-depth article with a lot of great pictures of these cars. James, my salvage I go to when I get a chance has a nice 62 wagon in black, needs floor pans. Yep, Yenko Stinger. That's what I was thinking on the Yenko version of the Corvair. And, of course, this was a road test on the 6298. So gave us a little bit of specifics, a little bit of details. List price on the 62 Oldsmobile, $4,256. But good-looking cars, 394-inch V8. These things weren't rocket ships, standing quarter mile of 17.2 seconds at 81 miles an hour. So not a rocket ship, but a really good-looking car and with good lines that I felt in 62. Roadkill Buzz had an Olds 98 in the early 80s. Let it get away and loved that car. Yep. The next one we're going to check out, the next Car Life road test they had was on the Mercury Meteor. Quality marks Mercury's entry in the tween size sweepstakes. It may become the dealer's next star. Has an action shot of a Mercury Meteor. or I guess as much of an action shot as you can get with a Mercury Meteor. I guess that's a better way to put it. David W. was the first year for the aluminum V8. Probably 61. I know they had it in the 62. I'm going to say 61 with that little 215 V8. But I know they had it in 62 for sure. Joe just got here. Some bad luck tonight. Phone fell off the bumper and backed over it. Well, I'm glad you made it, Joe, tonight. But I guess it sounds like you're going to be buying a new phone tomorrow, so that kind of stinks. But on the little Mercury Meteor, there again, lots of good pictures. It's all black and white still. This is 1962. Number one, Olds 98. It might as well have been 100. That's true. They were so big, they should have just called them 100. More action shots of the Mercury Meteor, or once again, as action as you can get when you're talking about the little meteors. And this was a V8 car, though. And it there again gave us engine information, gave us some good data, some specifics on it. Big job. Yep, my dad's buddy had that Olds in the 60s, new in 79. Still had 6,000 miles on it. Wonder where it went. Iron Days just sold 263 Meteors, both Tudor hardtops. This one had kind of an interesting size engine. It was a 221 V8. So, an engine, not an extremely popular V8 or a very well-known V8, flew through the standing quarter mile in 19.5 seconds at 68 miles an hour. But there again, this was all these, smaller cars was, new for that time period. They were trying to figure out what to do with them, what to make them appealing, what to do to make them appealing to customers, and what to do to make them work and make them sell. Chris, Don Yenko owned a dealer in Canonsburg, PA, and converted Corvairs. Yeah, that's the Corvair we were talking about, was the Stinger. James, the cars I have are 365 Corsa 140 horse convertible, 65 Monza convertibles, a 65 Ford hardtop, a 66 Monza coupe, and of course the van. So James has an extensive Corvair collection. So if we got Corvair questions, we got the man on. Roadkill took twice that in the quarter. David, was the Meteor like the Fairlane? I believe so. I think the Comet was the same as the Falcon, and the Meteor would have been comparable to the Fairlane, if I remember correctly, David. So, and obviously, if somebody on here can confirm that or deny that, correct me if I'm wrong. But Golf Ball, do you have any 61 or 62 wagons? Depends on which kind of 61, 62 wagon you're talking about. Number one, I do have some wagons in that era. The next article we're going to check out, and this was a really cool article. At least I thought so. Part one, so there were obviously more of them. Part one of Horsepower from Detroit, starting off part one, Chevrolet's family of V8s. Let's see. James have some rare options also. So he's extensive Corvair collector with James there, which is great because there again, if we have Corvair questions, we know you're on here to help with us. So Iron Days Meteor and Fairlane were the same shell. Okay, so I was correct on that. Comet Falcon was the same. Meteor Fairlane would have been the same. So, but Horsepower from Detroit, Chevrolet's family of V8s. This is strictly an engine article, and it gives us some cool specifics. Starting off with the fuel-injected small block. First American production line engine to claim 1 brake horsepower per cubic inch of displacement, which actually was not correct. They marketed it that way, but it actually wasn't correct. The 283 horse 283, because I believe the 300C in 55 did that. So, but that's what they marketed it with. So, use the Rochester Systems long ram tubes to each port are fed from a large plenum chamber, which in turn is fed from a Venturi type air meter. So that's what kicked off the Horsepower from Detroit article in this issue of April 62 Car Life. And then obviously we've got our regular carbureted small block over here. We flip the page, and this is a really cool shot. There again, black and white, but these are some great graphics of the extremely well-known W motor. This is 62, so they're primarily focusing on 348 because this is pretty early in 62, April of 62. 409 had just came out right at the very end of 61. So they have this marketed as a 348. but it's so great because of the cutaway pictures. Super awesome here. Chris, the Meteor was full-size in 61 based on the Ford for 1 year only. It went to the Fairlane body in 62 and 63. So this 62 would have been the Fairlane body, but it was only a two-year car. So there we go. Great information from Chris. Super appreciate you guys chiming in with that because that helps all of us. Jason, there's a guy in St. Louis area that's a big Corvair guy. Mike Myers, I think, has some cool stuff on YouTube. So, but this is such a great shot because of the cutaway of the 348 engine. We can see our famous W valve cover here. We see the rocker arms. We get to look inside. We see the cams, pistons, rods. We've also got the front cutaway over here, the bottom side of the head. A lot of technical stuff in here for 62. Like I said, they're working with what they had for drawings and doing it in black and white, but it's super cool. Now, as we flip the page, we get into some more W motor stuff, starting off with the 3-deuce 348, and then, of course, the 409, which was brand new at that time. The triple throat carburation gives the 1960 348 engine a rating of 350 brake horsepower at 6,000 RPM. Vacuum system open 2-end carbs at 2/3 throttle. New aluminum cylinder heads had bigger 2.07-inch intake valves and a big port aluminum manifold to match the enlarged porch. Aluminum heads and intake for a 348, that's got to be some rare stuff. Dual 4-barrel carburation came as 409's hottest option and featured Carter AFBs on a new, even bigger port aluminum manifold. Front carburetor has automatic choke. Secondary 4-barrel opens by mechanical linkage for more than 12 square inches of venturi area. So super great pictures, and these are real pictures. They're, again, black and white, but actual pictures of the multi-carb W engines from Chevrolet. Number one, depends if you mean the Mercury Meteor or the Meteor line of cars sold in Canada. And that's true because they did use Meteor in Canada as well, number one. So, but since this was dealing with the American version of the Mercury Meteor, that's where we were going with. So, dispatch says 442 is four-barrel 4-speed dual exhaust. And that was what I found to be basically the original meaning of it. But like I said, depending on who you ask, you're usually going to get a different answer. So that wrapped it up for the Horsepower from Detroit article. And we'll flip back a few pages. That's okay. That's what Chris said. He was talking about the U.S. line, and that's kind of what I was thinking. Where I was thinking we were going with that. So, but the Car Life road test, a cross-country check on the newest economy car, the Buick Special V6. There again, some of these smaller cars that were just coming out in the 60s, like we talked about, they were trying to learn what to do with them, trying to figure out what to do with them, doing road tests with them. What works, what doesn't work, what does the consumer want? And this was actually a road test. Shows it in multiple different climates, different weather conditions. They drove this car to collect data and report on it because people were curious. In 1959, there really weren't any compact American-made cars. In 1960, they started coming out in fury, but this is only 1962. So a lot of people were used to driving big cars. Were still used to driving big cars. They didn't understand this stuff. These road tests were a big deal back then. So, Kenny, I like all the history in this stuff. Yeah, Jim, I think the V6 was an aluminum block. I'd have to look at some of the ones I've got. I almost think they were cast on those, but I would need to double check that. But the Car Life road test on the little special with the V6, the 198 cubic inch V6, list price on the 1962 Buick Special V6 was $2,304. So these obviously were not rocket ships, standing quarter mile of 19.4 seconds at 72 miles an hour. They were neat little cars. This one they had was equipped with an automatic transmission. The little 198 V6 did put out 135 horsepower, which for the time for a small engine was respectable, So that's kind of that was a pretty big deal. That's why these road tests were so important back then. People in the market for new cars today, they do their research online. You didn't have it online. You could read these articles and study what these guys that were living with these cars doing these tests were learning and finding out. This next article was really cool, and it's actually several pages and gets really detailed about the subject, which there's no way for us to get into, but we still had to mention it because it was so cool, on how to keep tabs on engine performance with a tachometer. Yep. If you did, adding a tachometer to your car to keep tabs on engine performance. There again, this stuff was pretty new. Obviously tachs today are in almost everything. It's almost the norm in a lot of vehicles. Back then, it was unheard of. It was different. A lot of people didn't know what they were for. There again, this was a tech article on why you needed to add a tach to your car. It talked about different types of tachs. It talked about the night kit tach, where you could get a whole kit with different ways to install it. Big Job says BW needs a 409 for the 455 so you can sing She's Real Fine. Number one says you keep the engine you have and keep yourself respect. So David W. 59 Studebaker Lark was the early stubby compact. Yeah, that's true. I guess Studebaker and Nash were making a few small cars in the 50s. However, they were not really extremely mainstream. So Mary used to have a 70 GS 455. That's probably one you definitely wish you had back too. Iron Daisies, the Mercury Mountaineer has a tach. Yeah, like I said, it's commonplace today. So BW has a 468 big block for the 55 gasser he's putting together. So, and speaking of Studebaker Larks, David, let's get to the next article on the Studebaker Lark Daytona, the sporty Studebaker Lark that they came out with. So you threw that in at the perfect time. So we'll see what they have to say about the Studebaker Lark Daytona in 62. Jim, it was neat to take your hubcaps off and screw a tach on the dash. Yep, that's right. I remember pictures of my dad's cars from the late 60s, and they had black wheels on them. James, like a mileage monitor or a vacuum gauge. Yep, those were kind of unheard of. But on the little Studebaker Lark, V8 powered car with a 259 V8. Was it 250? Yeah, it's two displacement 259. I thought those were a 289, but it was. This was a typo, I think. The 289 Hawk engine. So I don't know if they had a 259 and a 289. Yeah, it looks like they made a 259 and a 289. I knew Studebaker had a 289. I did not realize they had a 259 as well. David says, yeah, they had 10% market share. So, but some cool pictures. A picture of a Lark Daytona convertible as well with bucket seats. A picture of the V8 engine, plus some other data on the Studebaker Lark Daytona. Now, some of the specifics about the Lark Daytona, obviously the 259 V8 we just talked about. List price on a Studebaker Daytona was $2,814. Went through the quarter mile in 18.9 seconds at 72.5 miles an hour. Top speed was estimated to be 100 miles an hour. So, pretty unique car. Something you definitely don't see anymore today are those little Studebaker Larks, especially in a Daytona version. And let's jump up a couple more pages to another article on fiberglass on the production line, further applications of a plastic product. There again, obviously the Corvette was fiberglass. There's all that Corvettes back then. Yeah, they did for almost 10 years. This is 1962. The Corvette had been on the market since 53. So this was still pretty new technology. This was, a big deal as they were starting to use these lighter weight materials and looking for different ways to use them. And some great examples on this page right here as far as what they used it for. Obviously, the Corvette talked about fiberglass for side seat trim panels, fiberglass nose panels on a Big Job Ford for Big Job, dash panels in Studebakers. I've got a 56 Hawk, and I sold the dash panel out of it, and it was made out of fiberglass. So there again, this was new technology. It was out there, but a lot of people didn't understand it. And that's what a lot of these articles were for. To us, nowadays, this stuff is second nature. Plastics, fiberglass, composite materials, all this stuff, so common in today's world. 1962, this was a little different. These articles were written to help educate people. David W. Grand Italia raced Studebakers in them. Yep, that's true. So there again, but we're looking back with 2020 hindsight. And what looks weird today is because it's so common was groundbreaking and earth-shattering and something new and different that we had to study. That's right, David W. Grand Italia did do superchargers for those Studebakers and did some amazing things with them as well. That's something else that's always worth checking out, is looking into some of that old speed history on things like that. The last article we're going to look at tonight before we get into some super cool ads was talking about something that comes up here from time to time. James, the Avanti was fiberglass. Yes, it was. The Avanti was a fiberglass bodied car as well. And there again, just like we talked about the Corvair Spider ad, the Monza Spider, where it said turbo supercharged, they actually used turbo in this and says turbo power for the turbine powered Chryslers, which is kind of interesting. But this is an article, a short article on the Chrysler turbines. It has a picture of one in a Dart. I believe it's a Dart. Maybe it's a Plymouth Fury with a turbine engine in it. Has once again, a schematic black and white breakdown of the turbine engine, but says turbo power for Dart and Fury. Well, there again, it's not a turbocharged system. It's a turbine system. It's a turbine engine. So there again, very interesting to see how the word turbo was used back in the day compared to what we know it as today. So kind of different. And there again, we're putting it all in context, here 60 years later, literally right at 60 years later, and looking back with 2020 hindsight on all this new technology from 1962, that was a pretty big deal. So kind of cool to see how they use the wrong terminology on some of this stuff. So kind of interesting. Let's check out some ads. Plus, we've got some classifieds in this issue as well that will make a few of us cry. Randy, molded plastics patent was held for the bubble tops was held by Big Daddy Ed Roth. Used a pizza shop oven. Think of that for every molded headlight lens I refinish. Yeah. American Skull made it tonight. Glad you're here. But we'll start off with some ads right inside the front cover, as long as the cover doesn't fall off, with the little Dodge Dart 440. These were available in base regular, probably with, leaning tower, power slant sixes, all the way up to 426 max wedge cars. But a pretty cool ad for the 62 Dart. Number one, man, with all the new science, technology, and materials, imagine the next Viper being turbine powered. Yeah. This was kind of an interesting ad. The next one we're going to check out. Eloy made it. Glad you're here with us tonight. The Chevrolet Impala ad for 1962 has a really big picture of a gas pedal. That's it. That's the whole ad right there. That's a whole shooting match. The accelerator. Roger, Studebaker in Australia had 283 Chevys in them. Okay. So like the Pontiacs in Canada with Chevys in them. Some of that stuff never made sense to me, but I know there were reasons they did it, but that's what they did. So there's the 62 Impala ad in this issue. Accelerator, one who or that which accelerates is what they said. All the above is true as far as it goes. What it doesn't say is that an Impala Super Sport has even more going for it than performance. It's a swinging car in every way. Bucket seats, special interior, distinctive exterior trim, all part of the Super Sport kit. So they just showed you the accelerator pedal, but it got your attention. So, Brian in Canada wants to know why we're holding up the Hudson badge. Like that. I'm sure a lot of us will be more than happy to fill you in. It's a running inside joke. And I'm glad you asked that. This means time to take a drink. So everybody has their favorite beverage with them at home. Every time we flash the Hudson badge, that means take a drink. So that's the deal, Brian. Glad you're hanging out with us. But that's why we keep flashing it up there. That's what's going on. But it is kind of an inside joke for you new viewers, so I'm glad you asked, so clarified it for anybody else. Phil says I think the Bricklin says Brinkley. I'm sure that was an autocorrect deal. The Bricklin was fiberglass as well, and that's true. Malcolm Bricklin's, attempt at a sports car with Ford power. Let's see. BW has a theory. Old school is the spammer. Yeah, pretty sure that's probably not it. So, let's see. Lots of other comments. Kenny says it's about time. David W. There's a guy racing a supercharged Studebaker lock Daytona at the pure stock muscle car drags, beating big blocks. Number one, Chad, do you remember any other GMs that had colored accelerator, brake, and park pedals? Yes, I do remember those. My 64 had green pedals, recently red ones. I don't remember what I'll use them. I think Buick used colored ones. I haven't thought about that in a long time, but I would have to go look and see. But I think that was early to mid-60s stuff as well. So number one took a shot at old school too. Says BW stole his theory. So number one says Brian now has to chug for asking about the badge. So anyway, we'll keep moving here. Jason says he's Miller High Life for this low life. There you go. But the next ad we're going to check out, full big two-page black and white ad. Nobody passes a new Plymouth Sport Fury without the owner's permission. Cool action shot of a Sport Fury convertible. Obviously black and white, but still definitely an ad that catches your attention as you were looking through here if you were new car shopping and checking out the car life in April of 1962. This next page has two super cool ads on it that we've got to check out. And I know you guys are going to dig this one. Iron Daisy spam is good, fried with eggs and taters. That picture is worth 10,000 words. The ad from the Traction Master Company, as well as the greatest spectacle in racing, the Moon Equipment Company ad. Number one, the accelerator pedal ad reminded him of the colored pedals. I'm glad you brought it up because I'd forgotten about it. I'm going to have to do some looking around at the yard now. I thought this was great with the Traction Master ad with the basically a fake knockoff. Obviously, it's got lug holes in it to bolt it on or to go around your standard lug nuts, so it wouldn't be a true knockoff. And then, of course, the Moon Equipment Company performance ad as well. Traction Master also offered shocks and what else did they have in here? Oh, sway bars, shocks, things like that. And then, of course, the Moon ad to get your new Moon catalog. Another cool ad, once again, black and white. Everything in here is black and white. The Chrysler Corporation, 5 exciting ways to follow the sun. The live new 62 convertibles from the Chrysler Corporation. Live means live weight. Every ounce is dedicated to strength and performance alone. Has several pictures here, including the 300, the Fury, the Crown Imperial, and the Dart 440. If you guys can check them all out over here on the 1962 Chrysler convertible ad. Number one, there's a group since we're all born 80 years too late. William, I'm back. Sounds like I missed a lot. Well, you didn't miss a lot, but you definitely missed some stuff. The next ad, the last ad we're going to check out, this thing was so cool, and it caught me off guard. It almost sucked me in before I realized what was happening. So, and just like we've been talking about, compact cars, the new technology, the fiberglass, all this weird stuff that was happening in the early 60s in the car world. We were just on the cusp of muscle car performance really breaking out. The small cars were coming out. There were new technologies, fuel injection, disc brakes. All this stuff was either had just started or was right around the corner. And that's what we've talked about a lot in this exact issue of that type of stuff. Number one, maybe we should all chip in and repop some colored rubber pedals. Yeah, there you go. Jason, probably a few drinks behind. Yeah. Big job. Yeah, you can make an art display, Chad, with a new concept of a flower with your petals, then auction them. Number one, was it called a sway bar then? I remember they called stabilization bars. I think that's what they called it, actually. I'll flip back here real quick and see if I can find it. But to end, dip, and dive and sway and give you complete drive control without sacrifice of comfort is what it said. So that didn't really call it either one, technically. But this ad is exactly about that. Confused about the 1962 cars? Get the straight answers free in these two revealing 1962 automotive X-ray books. Number one compares the economy of the compacts, we were just talking about. Number two compares the popular price 6s and V8s standard and compacts. So, actually, no J.C. Whitney ads in this one, Kevin, surprisingly, because in this era, about everything had a J.C. Whitney ad in it. However, this magazine is primarily newer cars, so not a lot of customizing or hot rod stuff in here. So maybe that's why they weren't in this one. So I seen this ad. Wow, maybe this is like a Chilton deal or something, or like a Mitchell manual or something, where you could order them and get your X-ray books about the new 1962 cars. I'm holding the magazine this way intentionally because I saw that and thought, wow, this is a lot of the stuff I've been thinking about as we're going through, as I was getting this episode ready and going through this issue. So I thought that's interesting. Then I got to the bottom of it. It's a Rambler ad. You go get the books at your Rambler dealer. It said right on it, get your free car X-ray book now at your Rambler dealer. Rambler, world standard of compact car excellence. It was a Rambler ad the whole time. So it was a heck of a way to do it, but that's where they were going with it, with the free X-ray books to learn about the new 1962 cars. All right. Everyone will be happy to know that Brian in Canada is now on board. He just cracked the cold Canadian brew. So in honor of Brian jumping on with us, now knowing the secret, and he now has a cold Canadian brew in his hand, we're going to throw the Hudson badge up just for him. So that's right. Big job. The Rambler Scrambler, the SC Scrambler, that was coming along a few years after this. David W. says air shocks. Yep. With the ad from Traction Master. Let's see. Josh, wasn't it in the early 60s GM created the independent front suspension? Independent front suspension has been around for years. Clear back in the 30s, I think, is when independent front suspension started becoming fairly common. Definitely by the 40s. William, 57 Chevy had mechanical fuel injection, but I'm not sure if Corvettes did anything like that. Fuel injection was available on big car, full size, and Corvette in 57. So, Iron Daisies, I've been to the place where J.C. Whitney began. Let's see. Everybody says, yeah, Hudson Bachelor Brian, EB Bud, do you prefer diesel or regular gas? I run diesel pickups and I got a lot of gas stuff. So, Jason says, welcome to the club, Hoser, since he's in Canada. So, number one was 2 pairs of X-ray goggles. Well, these were X-ray books. So, Sebastian's on tonight. Glad you made it, Sebastian. Just about finishing up with the magazine. Kim's back on. Her phone's all charged up. So, I just thought it was cool. You read the whole ad. Oh, wow, I'm going to learn all about I'm new car shopping. Man, these books are going to tell me everything I want to know. It's going to compare the compacts. It's going to compare the 6s and the V8s, the standard size cars. Man, I got to get these books. Where do I get them? Oh, I got to go to the Rambler dealer to pick them up. So I'm already there. David W. Studebaker had disc brakes in 63. You know, Tucker had them in 48. Crosley had them in the late 40s, early 50s, but it was just starting to become, more standard technology at that point. So big job. If I get into Kenosha when I'm paving, you always see Ramblers around here that are mint. I bet so. Yeah, it'd be pretty cool to go to Kenosha. But that does wrap it up for the ads for this issue. But there were some classifieds. The classifieds that always make us cry, by the way. Starting off with In the classified section, a 1935 Bugatti Type 57 convertible. Excellent condition throughout. Original red and black paint. $2,500 for a 1935 Bugatti Type 57 convertible. Sounds like a pretty reasonable deal to me. So I did a little bit of Googling. There is one coming up for sale in case anybody is interested. Sotheby's has one scheduled for an auction on March 5th here in just a couple weeks. Pre-auction estimate, if anybody's got basically $750,000 laying around, you can probably go play. Pre-auction estimate $650,000 to $800,000. 1962, they were $2,500. So, number one says, "Big job, get me a 401 next time you're in Kenosha." So, I thought that was a very interesting one. The next one, I kind of went down a little bit of a rabbit hole because I wanted to. Well, actually, there's a couple of them here. Let's get this other one. 1957 Chevrolet Bel Air, two-door hardtop, V8 stick, radio, seatbelts, wide white walls. Extra clean, $1,400 for a 57 Bel Air two-door hardtop. 1961 Chrysler 300G convertible. Perfect. Of course, this car is essentially brand new. The best point-to-point touring possible. All accessories, $3,900. Now, what do you think happened to this guy? He's got an essentially brand new 300G convertible loaded to the gills. We'll take $3,900, or we'll take late model wagon in trade. Somebody got married and's having kids, I got a feeling, in 1960, in April of 1962. So, 1953 Delahaye, four-place convertible, $1,450. Sounds pretty reasonable to me. Number one, is it a real Bugatti or an Argentine replica? They are licensed to build and sell Bugattis, but prices are way different. I would assume at $750,000, the one that Sotheby's is running is an original. And since this magazine was 1962, I'm assuming it was probably an original as well. Big job. I've paved the redevelopment area where AMC used to be, and the road's right there. So Sebastian says those replicas are actually very cool. But the next classified ad I saw, number one, Brian, chug that beer, shotgun the next, and call in sick tomorrow before you crack the third. But the next one, I kind of went down a little bit of a rabbit hole because I had heard of these cars, but I didn't know much about them. So I thought we'd all learn something real quick. The 1954 Hudson Italia. The experimental dream coupe, Barani wires, new white wide walls, excellent condition throughout, 24,000 miles, 3850 firm. Now, 3850 firm, considering we just looked at these other new cars, that's right in the ballpark of what that new 6298 cost. So you're for an almost 10-year-old used Hudson. So I thought, well, and I was thinking, obviously show car type thing. I thought, well, what's the scoop on the 1954 Hudson Italia? So let's check it out and see. So I Googled it, got a little information on it. I'm going to share with you real quick before we keep moving on. The Hudson Italia was an automobile styling study and a limited production two-door compact coupe, produced obviously by the Hudson Motor Car Company of Detroit. Carrozzeria Touring of Italy did the body, and subsequently marketed by AMC because that happened right at the transition point. Sebastian says one of his favorite Hudsons, so he knows exactly what we're talking about. Brian with Dispatch, what do you guys think of our Canadian Pontiac Beaumonts? And there again, all that stuff is neat because it's all different. They look like a Chevy with Pontiac trim. Some of them were Pontiacs with Chevy drivetrains. All that stuff was cool. What I like about it is it's all different. It's correct. It's exactly right, but it's all different. Joshua likes the Hudson coupes. James, I like looking at the old sale ads in my old hot rod magazines. It sometimes makes you feel sick. Yeah, it does. But what made this almost 10-year-old used Hudson worth the same price as a new car, essentially? Josh, been here every week since I subscribed. Any news on 54, 55 Olds Dash? I've got that 154 that just came in is all I've got right now. But the Italia was done during the 1954 and 1955 model years by Frank Spring and introduced in January of 1954. The Italia was based on the Hudson Jet platform, which was a smaller version. There's actually some jets in the new yard and running gear, but with a unique body and interior. Let's see. David W. is on drinking hot cocoa. Number one, why did American car makers think Italian cars needed to weigh 3,000 pounds? That I can't answer. But during the early 1950s, Hudson began several product development programs that included the Hudson, or the Hornet, a 6-cylinder engine, and the Jet, and then the project that became the Italia. Obviously, they saw what was happening in the industry. However, Hudson, being a smaller company, did not have the budget to compete with a lot of the show cars that GM were cranking out, and then subsequently, in some instances, such as the Corvette, hitting production with them. The management at Hudson sought the publicity that Chrysler received from their work with the Ghia and the resulting show cars. The Hudson Italia concept was to replicate the notoriety of concept cars such as the Ghia Specials from 51 to 53. The original idea was to create a fast, sporty car based on the Hornet, and also for competition in the Carrera Americana. It's a long word. I always mess that up. A flagship European-inspired experimental sports coupe to rival the Corvette, the Nash Healey, the Kaiser Darren, or the, at that time, rumored Ford Thunderbird. So, let's see. Big job. No one says, big job, get him some Lakewood wagons while you're out paving. BW, because muscle weighs more than a fat one, than a fat. David W, better add some marshmallows to your hot cocoa. No, David says he uses Bailey's, and he don't need marshmallows for his cocoa. He uses Bailey's. So, Sebastian, they made very few of them, and I think they were built in Italy by Carrozzeria Touring, and that's exactly right. So, Sebastian is right on board on this one. You knew more about it than I did. So, but lacking sufficient capital to develop a completely new model, Hudson reached an agreement for a prototype to be built in Milan by Carrozzeria Touring. If I'm probably butchering that too. A complete jet was shipped to Italy, a new body design based on sketches by Frank Spring, using a system of aluminum panels, which was expensive and fairly revolutionary in its day. The price paid by Hudson for this concept car was reported to be only $28,000. It was a curious mix of Italian flair and American flash. Now, I do have a picture of it that I printed, but it's not very good. I'm going to go ahead and hold it up while we're talking about the styling of the Hudson Italia. Italian flair with American flash. Prototype was completed in September of 53. Car was shipped to the U.S. and displayed at numerous Hudson dealerships across the country by late 1953, and it did receive positive customer reaction, and it was also exhibited at auto shows. Number one, we got to get those Hudson Jets on a special walk around. They're on some of the stuff in the new yard, but yeah, that's something we could definitely work into. This car first appeared under the name Hudson Superjet and featured numerous advancements, including the aluminum body and the wraparound windshield to make it look similar to a 53 Corvette. Doors were cut 14 inches into the roof to allow easier entry and exit. Barani chrome wire wheels, just like the one in the ad, as well as a column-mounted 3-speed and an overdrive unit. While styling for the Jet was conservative, the Italia was anything but. The Italia was 10 inches lower than a Jet. The headlights, the front fenders featured V-shaped scoops, ducting cooling air into the brakes, as we can kind of see in this poor picture that I found. Josh, my dad was born 39. His first car was a Model A. He paid $20 and a case of beer for it. Drove it until he got his 57 Chevy. William, just a thought here, but if Hudson was still building cars, what would they look like today? Who knows? Number one, BW, I think you should put a 73 to 77 Chevy pickup grill 350 emblem for the Nova. It's black and yellow like Pennsylvania. Yep. Big job. You should not have said Bailey's because he's got his better half thinking now. So, but anyway, that's where they were going with this. They even had rear quarter scoops to cool the rear brakes. Plus, the front bumper sported a large inverted V, similar to the Hudson emblem right there in the front. Sebastian, a very cool piece of Hudson history is that a few of the Hudson Hornets that were bought by the public, they had 7 times 380 cubic inch, 6,000 RPM racing engine. I think that was a 308 engine. I don't know if that was just a typo, but I thought that was a 308 flathead. But a few of the Hudson Hornets that were bought by the public ended up with racing engines. That'd be something to find today for sure. You can see the picture a little better for a second. Yeah, I'll try to. I said it's not a great picture, but I'll try to keep it up there as I go through some more of these notes. The Italia featured a radio, which was not even yet standard equipment on Cadillacs, form-fitting bucket seats. The Italia was powered by Hudson's Twin H302 with twin carbs on it, which is a super cool piece. I've actually got a Newell stock, brand new, never bolted on an engine, Twin H power intake and exhaust manifold setup. Kind of a cool piece to have on the shelf. And you got to show the AMP concept, the Henry J. Allstate. Let me make a note of that while we're talking about it. So they were Twin H powered with a 3-speed manual, drum brakes. The trunk was only accessible from the inside of the car, which is kind of weird. Hudson commissioned Chrysler Touring to build what is believed to have been a total of 50 cars and sent the needed superjet components to Italy. Despite lower labor costs in Italy, the hand-built car's price tag was $4,350. This is in 54, which obviously, like we're talking about, in 62, a new 98 was about $4,000. So, Tom on Facebook, love the show. They don't say crush them, restore them. Glad you made it, Tom. I'm glad you're hanging out with us on Facebook. That's what it said. But however, this picture, it looks like it's got a trunk lid, but it says it was only accessible from the inside. Sebastian says, okay, it was a typo. It wasn't. They were 308s. Roger, this show teaches me about what cars were made in the U.S. So by the time they were built and hit the States and were shipped to a dealer, the price was $4,800. So that was a pretty big deal, considering you could buy a brand new Series 60, a brand new 54 Coupe de Ville for $39.95. So this thing was over $1,000 more by the time it got to the dealer. At sticker price, if it was $4,800 to the dealer, obviously it would have probably been right at $5,000 or better on the lot. So easily $1,000 more than a brand new Cadillac. So, and that's where did Hudson go under? Josh says we're getting to that here in just a second. Chris says something like 25 Italias, and that's coming up here in just a second as well. Hudson dealers began taking orders September 23rd, 1953, but the response was lukewarm with only 18 or 19 firm orders. The price was high, and dealers were disappointed the more powerful Hornet engine was not ordered. Less expensive were the Nash Healy at $4,721, the Kaiser Darren at $3,668, and coming in at $3,523, the Corvette. So all of the other cars that they were targeting were dramatically cheaper. And like I said, and that's, and we're talking in 1954 dollars. I think a house was like 10 G's in 1954, and this thing was $5,000. So it, and we can, if you guys can see the back picture here, it does appear that there is an outline for a trunk, but it said it was, the text says it was accessible only from the inside. So not 100% sure on that. If somebody can clarify that, that would be great. Big job. I hear Henry J, and I always think of the F&E auction. Yeah, that was a neat little car that we sold that went through the sale this year. That was a cool little Henry J that we sold. On January 14th, 1954, a historic date, Hudson Motors and the Nash Kelvinator Corporation announced a merger to form American Motors Corporation. So January of 1954 is when that merger happened. Hudson's prospects as a standalone independent marque ended with full consolidation under AMC by May of 1954. The newly formed automaker sent letters to all Hudson dealers announcing a deadline for prepaid orders from customers for the cars to be assembled in Italy. However, at that point in the 50s, orphan-branded cars such as Nash and Hudson were shunned by customers and depreciated quickly. So they had a reputation for somewhat depreciating fast, and they were way more money than a new Cadillac, which probably didn't depreciate very fast in that time. Orders for the Italia were almost non-existent, and AMC committed to have only another 15 built. The managers of the newly merged automakers at AMC had no intentions for the Italia to expand, and further problems were encountered when Chrysler Touring refused to supply spare body and trim parts. Roy Chapin Jr. was the sales manager for the Italia program and was ordered to get rid of the cars. Most of the Italias were sold to eccentric customers in California. 21 of the 26 Italias have been accounted for. So according to this, 26 were made, 21 have been accounted for. But here's the interesting part of that. The missing 5 cars are serial numbers 5 through 10, with 2 of this group located in Europe, thus leading to speculation that some of those early cars never even made it to the States. So kind of interesting. Like I said, for a classified ad, I definitely went down a rabbit hole, but I thought it was well worth talking about and well worth getting into a little bit more on the Italia. But a really cool car and something I didn't know much about. I learned a ton. I hope that you guys learned a ton. And obviously, Sebastian was right there with us with some other answers to our question. Sebastian, 54 is the last year that Hudson built cars independently, just like what we got to. Big job. Weird car, no trunk. Sebastian said they did build a few 54s before joining up with Nash. Old school, what do you guys think of gas prices? Here it's like 3 something and $3.50 for diesel. I don't know what it is in Canada. So, Rusty Nails, and that's another thing. Rusty Nails, maybe it just released from the inside. That's another good point. It was kind of a weird shape, so you could be 100% right with that as well. And Josh was right after that with the exact same thing. So that could have very well been it. Maybe it was just accessible to open it from the inside. I bet you guys are right. Let's see. Some comments on the gas prices. Alfred, my dad had a 65 Chevy short bed. He put 1 million miles on it. It's in his yard right now, sitting next to Carrie Underwood's grandpa's dually. My dad drove in 80 back to the White House in 84. Sebastian, 5 cars. Guess we need to go back to hunting for Hudsons. Kind of like this Hudson. So, anyway, like I said, you guys, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you guys got something out of it. We kind of went down a rabbit hole for a classified ad, but $4,000 for a almost 10-year-old used Hudson seemed a little excessive after the new car prices we were just looking at for 1962. So I thought it was worth a second look, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for letting me indulging me and diving down that rabbit hole, and I hope we all learned something. So anyway, who's ready for an auction? For a super cool badge auction. And this is a great piece. I do have another one in a little better shape. This is an extra, but it is different. It is cool. It does have some chips, but it's still legible. So auction time. Who's ready for an auction? Yeah, we're going to get to the raffle in a minute, Sebastian. We've got the raffle notes, trivia notes, all kinds of stuff here too. So we'll get to all those here after we do the auction. Roger, in Australia, we had Holdens for Ford. Yep, I've seen some pictures of some of that stuff as well. So we're going to talk about the raffle because you're in it, Sebastian. So, anyway, who's ready to have an auction? Auction time. Let's go. Who's ready to bid on a badge? Not a new badge. It's a pretty old badge, actually. That is a super great piece. Kevin did like the story, so glad you did. Ozark Fox, early Metropolitans had no external trunk lid. I do remember some of those as well. That's another good point. So, auction time for a badge. Where's our badge bidders at? Roger says, and Valiant. Terry says, cool to learn. Yeah, that's why I did it. That's why I dove down the rabbit hole, because it was something different. So, we're going to do the badge auction. We're going to do some trivia. We're going to actually talk about trivia a little bit as well. And then we're going to talk about the raffle. So, anyway, time to start the auction. This is super exciting. I'm excited. Of course, nobody's probably going to like it. Nobody's probably going to bid on it because I think it's such a great piece. Joe, did you get my check for the check for the oil can from last week? Yes, I got it yesterday, Joe. So we're good on that. And I did get Lee's payment on the other can from last week. That Big Job so graciously donated back to sell. I haven't shipped them, Lee. I've got to find your address again. Joe, I just got your check, so those will be going out here in the next, probably Tuesday is probably when I'm taking the next load to the post office. So let's see. Let me get some of these comments before we get to it. Big Job's ready for the badge auction. William, quick question. Why did Chevy have a blue bow tie in 69 for the Camaros and then went back to red and gold? Just curious. That I couldn't tell you. Kevin, putting my 51 pacemaker back on the road soon. Jesus, he must be siphoning gas. Gas doesn't taste as good as it used to. We'll take another look at this badge just before we get into the badge auction. Rusty Nails hasn't even seen the badge, and he's in for 5. So I guess Rusty Nails has us started off, and we haven't even checked out the badge. But here it is. The 1930 Essex Super 6. I think it's a great badge. This is a little bit rough. Sebastian, they got my license plates and spark plugs. Much better in person. Perfect. I'm glad they made it. This badge, Essex Super 6 from 1930. This one's a little bit rough. We've got some chipping in it. You know, definitely up here is a big whammo. We got part of the I on the and part of the R. This was a black background. It looks kind of bluish, but I think it's supposed to be black. I don't know if you guys can really see the detail around the perimeter of this. This had a lot of detail cast in, even into the metal. Rusty Nail says, let's get $5 for anything. So as of right now, we've got Jason at 10. Kenny just came in at 11. This was some sort of a crimped on badge on the back. It is 2-inch, just basically 2x2. It's like 2 1/8 tall and 2 across. So basically 2 1/8 by 2 on the Essex Super 6 badge from 1930. I've got Sebastian at 15 on this one. Great piece. This is a badge I would never sell other than the fact that I do have another one in my collection. So this was a duplicate. That's what I've told you guys. I hate selling any of these badges. I love them so much. But, I want some of you guys to be able to enjoy some of these in your collection as well. Brandon's in at 20. Lee came in right after that at 20. So I've got Brandon at 20 as of right now. Here in just a minute or so, we're going to get this thing on the timer and let it wind down after we check it out. Sebastian's in at 25. But, and like I said, this one's not the best. My other one, you can see some of this definition, how, I don't know if you guys can make it out on the screen where it cuts out here, cuts up here. I mean, a very, very ornamental badge for its day. Don't have any bids on Facebook as of right now. I've got BW at 30. Mary came in at 22, but I've already got BW at 30. BW at 30 is my high. So, and Mary is bidding on Facebook as well. High right now is BW at 30. Rusty knows, did you show your gooder one before? I think we did do it once before. So, high bid as of right now is BW at 30. We're going to get this. I'm going to get my phone out and we'll get this put on the timer here in just a second. And get ready to go. So, Jason, I'm the poor guy of this group. So, I've got Mary at 31. We're going to put this on a 1-minute timer. So, here we go. Mary's in at 31. Timer is on. We've got 1 minute. Sebastian is out. Mary at 31 is where our top bid is at. I'm keeping an eye on both formats. Please remember, get your bids in a little bit early. 15 seconds has gone past because a lot of times, a lot of people are getting sniped right at the end. So make sure you've got your max bid out there if you don't want to get sniped at the end. 30 seconds is up right now. We've got 30 seconds left. I've still got Mary at 31. So 35 seconds has passed. 40. We've got 20 seconds left. Mary is in at 31, is our high bidder. 15 seconds left. Keeping an eye on them right now to see if anybody else is going to get in here. 10 seconds left. I've still got Mary at 31 as our high bidder. And nothing else coming in yet. And that is it. So Mary's our high bidder at 31. Let me get this jotted down real quick. Mary on Facebook is our winner at $31. So cool piece. I'm excited for you to add this to your badge collection, Mary, because I know you've got some cool stuff that you've been telling us about as well. So great piece. Hope you enjoy it. And Mary's our winner for tonight. So thanks for playing along, everybody. It's always a great time. And it's always fun. I really get excited about you guys getting excited about it as well. So everybody's saying congrats, Mary. Kevin comes in at 35, but we've already been done for a while now. So it was a Facebook bid, Kenny. That is exactly what it was. So, and that's why I always tell you guys we've got viewers on Facebook as well, and I keep an eye on both of them. So, Mary's our winner tonight. Congratulations! Super excited for you to add the Hudson or the Essex Super 6 badge to your collection. Here's the Hudson badge for everybody. So, anyway, let's talk about trivia. Let's talk about the raffle. Trivia. I don't know what we want to do on trivia. And I want your guys' opinion if we even want to keep doing trivia. Here's what's happening on trivia. Obviously, we know that if I read the question, we just sit here until somebody goes through the videos enough to find the answer. Josh, any chance of you doing a live tour of your cars anytime soon? Probably need to sometime in the next month or so. I did one on Christmas Day. I don't like doing them back to back to back. I like to get 2, 3, 4 months apart in them. So probably sometime in March, Josh, will probably be the next live when we're walking around checking stuff out in the yard. So BW says like an Easter egg hunt. So Kevin says he started the timer at 35. So there again, that's where we run into the system issues. Which is why I try to forewarn everybody, and I apologize for that. I'm at the mercy of the system. We run into that with a lot about trivia, so apologize about that. But once I let it run, and once it hits a minute and I announce it sold, that's I can't go back on that either. So that's why I encourage everybody to get your bids in early, and that's why when I put it on the timer, so I know what we're gonna do. PayPal's okay, Mary, as long as it's friends and family. Friends and family only on that. So, number one, my wife, Wi-Fi lost his smoke signal. So, we just auctioned off a badge. Old school. How about making a trivia question based on live stream content? That's something else we could do. Because here's what, we know that's what's happening. When I put it on the timer, it's not giving people enough time to figure it out. That's why I kind of put it on the timer, was to make it a little more challenging. So I'm kind of, and when we're sitting here waiting for 3 or 4 minutes for somebody to find the answer, then I'm sitting here trying to keep things going and trying to watch for answers, and it gets a little tricky for me. So we do have a trivia question tonight. I am going to give you 90 seconds on it like we did last week. We've still got the all steel early Prestone brake fluid can that's all metal, still got the metal crimp even on the side of it that we're still trying to give away. So I'm really on the fence about the trivia thing, because I don't like sitting here and me just trying to find stuff to talk about to keep things moving. But on the other hand, I don't know if the auction and the raffle stuff's going to be more popular, or how we're going to do it. And like Sebastian, we could do trivia on years car models were released. When we do things like that, because we've done some of that, then we're sitting here waiting for people to Google them. And that's what happens, is people just start Googling it. And I'm still sitting here trying to keep things going while, people are Googling stuff. So that's what I don't personally like about it. So, kick it around and let me know. Old school just says, I just can't remember anything. So, and see what, I'm interested in your guys' opinion. If you don't care, maybe we do 2 auctions and work on the raffle. So things like that. I'm always open to your guys' opinion, but that's my issue with trivia, is me sitting here trying to keep the show going while people are Googling stuff or going through videos and trying to come up with an answer. So just kick that around in your head. But tonight's question, and I'm going to set this on a timer as well, and I'm going to give you 90 seconds on this one. So 90 seconds as soon as I finish the question. We looked at some oil cans on Toy Tuesday last week. The Atlantic Refining Company was based where? What city was the Atlantic Refining Company based in? 90 seconds on the clock as we're keeping an eye on things for the Prestone brake fluid can. And this obviously is probably 70s, I'm guessing. We look at it and it doesn't look that old, but it's got, it's definitely an old steel can. So it's definitely not new. They wouldn't use it anymore. But you can actually, this is something kind of cool. You can actually, got a few guesses coming in, but no correct answers of yet. This thing actually has, you can still see where this had an actual price tag sticker on it. So there we go. Old school got it. Philadelphia is where it was based out of. So old school is our winner on the little Prestone can tonight for trivia. So I'm really kind of curious, though, as to what everybody's thoughts are on the trivia situation. So that's what I feel about it. Looking forward to your input on it as well. Now, raffle time. Old school. My brain's working tonight. That's good. William's got to jump off. That's okay. So that's all right. Sebastian, I wish they didn't use so much plastic for containers now because they could put unique graphics on all this other stuff. Yeah, that's true. And Clark came in with Pennsylvania right after that on Facebook as well. So maybe I shouldn't have taken a drink of water. But Philadelphia was it. So anyway, raffle. Let's talk about the raffle. If I don't choke. I might still have your shipping info on that old email you sent a long time ago, old school. I bet that's still in there if I go back and look. So, but the raffle, like we've been talking about, on the pedal car. I'm going to try to show it to you again. Here it is, the pedal car raffle for February. Pretty cool front end on this one. Does still have the running gear in it. It has the incorrect wheels on it, but it is all still here. Good looking tail on this particular car with a big V shape. This is a small rust hole. And there it is kind of from the top. Now, like we've talked about on this particular raffle, there will be $45 shipping on the pedal car. So, if the winner chooses not to take the pedal car, that's right. My water definitely went down the wrong pipe. So, when we pull the name, if the winner does not want to pay for shipping, you do have the option to take second prize, which is pretty cool stuff as well. An early metal Wanda grease can, a little 1 pound Wanda grease can. It's got some scratches in it, but still has pretty good color, pretty good graphics, as well as a super cool little 2.5 ton license plate for a truck. This actually would bolt like onto your other regular license plate for your weight rating. So if somebody doesn't want to pay shipping, they do have the option to take this. Now, just like last time, if we get 10 entries for the raffle this month, we will pull a third name for a third prize. As of right now, who is in? Sebastian is in, William Chironza is in, and Ronald Lewinsky, big job, is in. All of you guys are right now in the big Buick oil can down there in the bottom. All right there. Big Job says, sorry, but he will not be donating the pedal car to everybody else. So, Sebastian says he wouldn't be able to take the pedal car, but that's fine because if we pull your name first, we'll definitely ship you this stuff. So, anyway, that's whose names are in the big Buick oil can right now. Sebastian, William Sharonza, and Big Job Ronald Lewinsky. So be sure to get in on the raffle for this month. And that's exactly why we did that, Sebastian, because I still wanted to have, if somebody couldn't take the car, I still wanted to have something, a pretty decent prize for them to be able to give to them. So let's see. Number one, minute 25 left in regulation to decide if Kim or I are in the raffle. So Jason's on a fridge run. Well, that's all right. We'll be ready for you with the Hudson badge when you get back. So that's who's in. We will give this thing away on the 27th, 2 weeks. So get in, get your chances in on the raffle. Like I said, I'm kind of going out on a limb with doing something big like this. The steering wheel will come off of it, so that will help. But I think it's going to be more than 45 in shipping. However, if it is more, I'm going to pay for that throughout the raffle. That's why I just made it a flat $45 in shipping. So that's kind of where we're at on the raffle. The guys that are in, be sure to get in. You can do PayPal, friends and family only, on raffle tickets. And then I will get you in. You can send Sebastian mailed his payment. I got it this week. You can send me check. You can send me. I have some people just throw $20 in the mail and it shows up in my mailbox. So whatever works for you guys, but definitely want to be in on this month's raffle. We need 10 to pull out a third name. So everybody get in and get ready. It's going to be exciting to do something a little bit different. And we'll see how it works. It may not work. I mean, we may be pulling from these three. I mean, it may be Sebastian, William, and Ron at the end. And then I'll know not to do anything big again. I might learn the hard way. But let's see. Shopcat. Number one, it was hurtful for Wanda to know she was greased. And Shopcat, no, it was hurtful for Wanda when they extracted the grease. Kenny, how much again? $1 a chance. $1, every dollar you send me puts you in here one time. So $5, 5 times, $10, 10 times, $20, 20 times into the big Buick oil can. So $1 a chance. And like I said, PayPal, friends and family only, or check, money order, whatever you guys want to do, throw it in the mail. The PayPal information and the mailing information are in the text for this live. So you can go click on the live after we get done, and then the text will be my mailing information, PayPal information, the t-shirt information. If anybody wants t-shirts, I just had to ship some more out this week, so those shirts are on the way out to those people. So if you want t-shirts, that information is in there as well. Let's see. Rusty Nails, what is the date? 27th. We'll do this February 27th, so 2 weeks from tonight. So be sure to get them in. Mary's gonna get in on the raffle she's gonna send money for the raffle and the badge, so that's cool. Man. Sebastian, $1 equals a larger collection of historical items of awesome magnitude. That's a good way to put it, Sebastian. Can I use that? A larger collection of historical items of awesome magnitude. So Sebastian has a great way to put it. That's a good way to look at it. Jason's back with us. You probably need that then. I'm thinking about you, man. I'm hanging in there for you. What else is going on? Talks about the raffle. We got trivia. The new inventory, nothing exciting this week. Just some later model stuff is all that I picked up this week. Obviously, Sebastian's having water with me. So, obviously, since I was gone part of the week, I had to, obviously I testified at the state capitol on Monday, went over to Kansas City on Tuesday, had to pick up fuel tanks for the Ford. Got my new fuel tanks, sending units, the fill hoses, and all that stuff for my 78 F-250. So stay tuned for some more stuff coming on that. I've got all that stuff laying out. So I went and picked up all that in Kansas City while we were up there last week. So I didn't get home till Wednesday afternoon. So didn't have much time to haul many cars. So nothing cool came in this week to talk about. Let's see. Making sure I'm staying current here. I'm think I am. And I probably missed a few, so probably apologize for that. But I try to keep up with them best I can. What else is coming up this week on videos? If you guys caught the van video Friday night with the on location where I bought a load of full-size vans, which actually I was kind of excited about. No, I actually got metal tanks, big job. They had metal tanks for them. That's what I got. The rear stuff all looks pretty much identical. The side tank stuff is supposed to work. Supposed to. Tanks close but slightly different. Sending unit is completely wrong. Oh, no, that's the right one. It'll work. Okay, about 8 inches extra of rubber fuel line and a big loop, and the sending unit's supposed to work, be the correct one. So so we'll see on that. So Jose said good luck on Dad's surgery. Yeah, Dad's got ankle surgery tomorrow, so thanks for that. Old School says metal tanks are better than plastic. I don't know. That's that's what they had. That's what I got. That's what it had in it. Number one, that Dodge van should be badged a Dodge. That thing is long. We literally measured that. Dad and I measured that to even see if it would fit on my trailer, and I think I got about a foot. So we'll see. I think it's going to go on there. Josh, how much for the 83 Suburban? Give me a call on that so we can go over the details. I've got one guy already on it. I've got a buddy that I've kind of promised that to, so I got to see what he wants to do on it and go over the details on that because I don't have the title for that yet either. So if you want to give me a call, we can I can give you all the details on that. I don't know what his new ankle is going to be. I don't know if it says titanium. I don't know. I have no clue. I guess we'll find out. We'll find out tomorrow. So let's see. So I did pick up the red Ford van. I've got a video done on that. We still got some more video, river car videos to put together. We'll have another river car video up. Kim's going to bail off. Glad you made it for a while. Oh, yes. That book is on the way to you, number one. I did find it. I did find your address for that little service station notebook. I missed that before. I didn't catch where you were going with that other comment. Yes, it's on the way to you, so you should see it. So, no, his ankle's not broken. It's a replacement ankle that is so worn out that they have to replace it again. So that's what he's fighting. So I appreciate everybody's prayers and support on that. Tuesday's Flag Day in Canada, so happy Flag Day for Tuesday. Kevin says, good catch on the vans. Yeah, and the 74, there's an interesting story about the 74 that you guys are going to have to check out when we do the video on the 74 Ford. But the 84, I brought it back that day, so that video's ready. We'll get another river car video up. What I did do the other day while we were out there doing some videos, something I have not been bringing you guys, is some stuff out of the new yard. Believe it or not, we're not done showing you the stuff out of the new yard yet. We're getting close. I've probably got 8 or 10 more videos to shoot in there. We shot 2 more that are going to be coming up, and then I've got probably 8 or 10 more to do. So Sebastian didn't even know they replaced ankles. Yep. Alfred Priestley Alfred's got a 29 Erskine badge as well, just like the badge we just checked out. So Alfred's actually got one of those in his collection as well. So, Josh, do you have any 60 or 61 Impalas with a 235? That 161 I just brought in has a 235 in it, but that car's pretty rough. So, Big Job says that 78 is nice. Yeah, I'm excited about that 78 F250. Absolutely. Number one, maybe your dad could get the Edsel Teletouch for the ankle. Yeah. So anyway, that's what's going to be coming up on videos this week. We'll definitely get a river car one up. I'll try to get that van done and see if we can squeeze in, maybe one from the new yard. I do plan on picking up some cars this week. I've got to get back on that list to pick some stuff up. So I got a big list of stuff to pick up. So I need to get working on that too. So we may pop something new in there, but that's some of the stuff that is definitely coming up within the next week or two. Iron Daisies, I found a 51 Ford two-door post in a local river next to a couple of unknown pickups. Yep. Yeah, yeah. I still don't think he's going to let us give away the 72 holes, even if they do still have him doped up from surgery. So, Brandon, any flathead 6 for 48 Dodge sedan? I've got some flathead Mopars in that era, but nothing that I know anything about. Do I have any Packard badges? Yes, I do have Packard badges as well, Sebastian. So I've got some of those in my collection that we will be working towards as well with some of our badges and stuff. So, but anyway, that's about what I've got for tonight, everybody. As always, I will keep an eye on comments for the next few minutes as we get ready to wrap up, because it always takes 5 or 10 minutes to wrap this thing up as we're going through comments. Mary, do you have some Impala badges? Yeah, I've got some Impala badges as well. There are multiple different ones just depending on what you want. So we can check around and see what you want for your collection or what style you want for your collection, see if I may have something like that as well. So let's see. James, people talk about bagging their rides, but how many know that if you bag a Corvair, a 65 or up, they will lay on the rockers? So apparently you don't want to put bags on a Corvair unless you want to drag it on the ground. So, but anyway, any other comments, questions, be sure to throw them up there. I'll keep it on things for the next few minutes as we go. Big job. Friend just had a knee replacement, had her up and walking in one day. Yeah. So hopefully everything goes smooth and he's out quickly and back home soon. So, Sebastian, do you have any Packards in the yard other than the one we just picked up with the Turnpike Cruiser? I do have a few more Packards of that vintage, just like the black one that we just picked up. 48s, 49s, right in that era. I do have a couple of those. And a couple, I think there's 1 or 2 early 50s ones. So I've got a few of them, but not a ton. Kevin, see you on Toy Tuesday. Thanks for the 100th show. Kevin's going to jump off. Good night, everybody. Number one, keep his old ankle for show and tell. I don't think they give them to you. I don't think they send them home with you as a souvenir. So, but yeah, Toy Tuesday. I think we'll try to work in some more World War II stuff. I know Joe always loves it. I know some of you guys do dig it. I hope a lot of you guys enjoy the World War II stuff. Josh is going to watch the 61 Impala video once this is done. No, I have not titled that one. I probably will, but I have not gotten that far yet since it just came in. So, and hopefully this title situation, now that we're getting some stuff done through the state, this title situation has been a nightmare for me for the last 2 years. Hopefully we're making some progress and I can start getting some of them done in a timely manner. And there's some of you may even be on here with us that have wanted to buy cars that I couldn't sell you because I couldn't get the title work done through the state. So keeping my fingers crossed that's going to level off and I'm going to get some of that stuff done on a more timely basis. So let's see. Brandon, Night Father Chad, service was great tonight. Number one, it's his property and he's allowed to ask for it back. Okay, I didn't know that. Never checked into that. So, let's see. Mary, prayers for Dad. Great show. Glad you hung out with us all night tonight, Mary. Joe's already excited about the World War II stuff. So, yeah, we got to get some more of that stuff worked on. I keep promising to you guys, and other stuff keeps popping up. So, I do plan on being here Tuesday night, so we'll do it live, and definitely plan on doing some World War II stuff, I think, for Toy Tuesday. So I hope you guys dig that stuff as much as I do. I hope deviating a little bit from cars to planes is okay with everybody. So we'll kind of keep working some of that stuff in as well. So that being said, we're going to start getting ready to put a wrap on the 100th episode. Sebastian says World War I would be as cool as well. I don't have as much World War I stuff. World War I was not nearly as mechanized as World War II, and that's what I'm so infatuated with as far as the planes and the technology. So, there was very little air power used in World War I. Trucks and tanks were just essentially brand new at that point. So that's why I'm more interested in World War II. Plus, my grandpa was in World War II. I knew a lot of World War II vets. things like that. So that's where I've got a lot more ties to it. So that's why I have the World War II stuff. So Jason says, congratulations on the 100. Let's see. Roddy's here. Let's see. Number one still says buy a cockpit and do the show from the cockpit. So, Brian, I'll pick up the Buick can with the Buick. This Buick can is not going anywhere. That's actually the reason that we use the Buick can is because it's one of my favorite cans. So Joe says he has a 1/48 scale model World War II collection, 105 pieces. That would be pretty cool stuff to see. So, Josh, my granddad used to tell me all his stories about World War II. Unfortunately, his caretaker stole his equipment and gear. Yeah, and that happened in a lot of instances. Roddy says, congratulations on the 100th. Sebastian, maybe stuff from a Packard World War I truck if you could find it. Don't have anything like that. Or a ball turret. Yeah. I don't know. Those, I don't think I could fit in a ball turret. Those things were tiny. You had to be a little dude to be a ball turret gunner. Big job. Congratulations, Chad, on the 100th. Proud to have been part of it. But that's why we're at 100. It's because of all of you guys. I didn't think anybody would come hang out with us. Maybe a few people here and there. We talk about some stuff and kind of things like that. But to be here 100 episodes later with the group that's on here and the amazing group that we've got is so exciting. And just like all the stuff we learned, even when I dove down the rabbit hole on the Hudson Italia, I learned a lot. I hope you guys learned a lot. I hope we're all getting stuff out of this. Your guys' input, even the Corvair stuff tonight, where I wasn't quite sure on it, you guys took care of me on the Corvair stuff. And there again, we all learned. So, and that's what makes it great. Jason says, because it's super cool. So, and thanks to you guys. Sebastian says the ball turrets could supposedly fit someone who was 6'2". I don't think that would work out too well. Big job. Wish I'm around for the 1,000th. Wow. If we go to 1,000, that would be crazy. That would be nutso. That'd be a long time. So, Kevin, no shop kitty tonight. Actually, there are, as of right now, 5 of those morons in here. Yeah. There's one there on the chair. There's one on the fridge. There's one on the file cabinet. There's one on the bench. There's one on the desk. And back to the chair. So, yes, there are actually 5 cats in here right now. They're all sleeping. They don't care what we're doing, but there are 5 of them in here. Number one, you have a Corsa in the yard. I've got one of the later model Corvairs that is a coupe with that big weird back window in it. I do have one of those, I know. So not sure what it is, but number one says 5 cats, chug. Joe says, see you Tuesday. Cool magazine tonight. Glad you enjoyed it. Jason, you're lucky I don't live closer because I'd wear out my welcome real quick. So Big Job says that's what I'm talking about. But anyway, thanks for being here, everybody. Thanks for making this thing what it is. Thanks to you for allowing me to put that right there. Episode number 100, as bonkers as that makes it. Big Job says shop can make 6. Yeah, that's true. Roddy says mice aren't a problem. Nope, my shop smells like cats, but I don't really see any mice around here. Sebastian says have a wonderful night. Thanks everybody. That's right. You're actually right, Rusty Nails. They're all sitting over there looking and say, "What's that moron doing?" He said, "There ain't nobody here, but he ain't shut up all night." So, yeah, that's probably what they're wondering. But number one says, bring Dad in for 101. Now we'll have to see how he's feeling. Yeah, we'll have to try to see you get him on here one of these nights. Shopcat has 2 out there and 3 inside. Yeah, they're kind of a pain. We've got all of these fixed, so I hope that we've got that situation under control. But Big Job says, fantastic, Chad. Thumbs up, applause. Shopcat's garage does not smell like cats, but his Chihuahua does. So, anyway, that's what I've got for the 100. Thanks a lot, everybody. I appreciate you allowing me to get to 100, to build this to what it is. Please invite your friends over. If you're having a good time, tell them about us, jump on and share us on Facebook, tell them what we got going on, and get them on here with us and hang out. That's what makes it great. Shopcat, check out Magna Machine Works. He has the sweetest mild custom Edsel. William, Wild Bill here. Good show. Love it. Thanks. Shopcat, the dog loves the cats. I think he's talking about BWs there. So anyway, stay tuned. Hope to see you guys all live Tuesday night, 7 o'clock for some more cool World War II memorabilia. I'm talking so fast, I'm tripping over myself. And like I said, we'll have maybe the van video, river car, some stuff from the new yard, see what I get picked up this week, get some of that content posted as well. And definitely hope to see everybody back here next Sunday night for Sunday Night Live Chat, 7 o'clock Central Time. Invite your friends. I do appreciate the shares. A lot of you guys have come here because of our viewers that told them about you, which is great. So Shopcat says, everybody have a great night. Number one, I thought you were Magna was Darth and Luke. Okay. Jason sees he's out. This is water. I'm sitting here jabbering so much. I got to drink a lot of water. As long as I can get it down without choking myself. So Ozark Fox wants that one more time. I don't blame you. Alfred, prayers going up for Dad. I appreciate everybody's support. For Dad as well. I hope everything goes well and smooth tomorrow. And his replacement ankle goes in just fine. So keep my fingers crossed that it all works out well. Josh, good night, everybody. Going to check out that Impala video. Big job. Be there or be square. Number one says we'll see us on Tuesday. Thanks for being here, everybody. We will definitely see you on Tuesday. Definitely hope to see you back here next Sunday night, 7 o'clock, for episode number 101 of Sunday Night Live Chat. We'll see what we can come up with for an auction. We'll think about what we're going to do on trivia. We will definitely have some more cool badges, and we will definitely have another magazine, and we will definitely flip through some more old notebooks about what got us to where we are today. So thanks for watching, everybody. Any last comments coming through, hit them up there real quick, and I'll keep an eye on them. If not, I'm going to jump off, and I may miss a few that, inevitably there's always a few that pop up after we're done. I apologize for missing those, but I'm going to jump off. Thanks for being here. We will see you Tuesday night, and then definitely again next Sunday night, 7 o'clock Central Time, Sunday Night Live Chat. Thanks for being here, everybody. We will see you soon.